Thank you, mothers, from the Temple of Compassion. Thank you for your beautiful song. Let us begin by closing the eyes, please. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Saksat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I humbly bow to my Gurudev, Paramahamsa Hariharananda. I humbly bow to my Guruji, Paramahamsa Yoganananda. I humbly bow to our beautiful Param Guru, Paramahamsa Yogananda, who we are celebrating this whole year. I humbly bow to our entire line of Kriya Yoga masters. I humbly bow to saints and sages of all religions. I humbly bow to all the divine incarnations in every place and in every time. And I humbly bow to God. God, who is our Heavenly Father, our Divine Mother, our closest friend, our innermost self. Lord, we thank you for bringing us together today and in this unusual but joyous way, because any way that we can be together to celebrate you, to celebrate our gurus, and to share on each other's spiritual journey is a wonderful day indeed. Om, Amen. So, hello everyone. I hope you are enjoying this weekend. We are here on day 2 of our Gurudev, Baba Hariharananda's birthday celebration. It's really a program within a program, because these 5 days, as we do every year, we are celebrating our Gurudev's birthday, but throughout this entire year, we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of our Param Guru, Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, in his arrival in the West and in the United States in particular. So, it's interesting that normally during these birthday programs, we focus on the teachings of Gurudev, of Hariharananda. Since this year, we are working within the scope of the wider anniversary of Yogananda's 100th year anniversary coming to the United States. We are going to be focusing this particular birthday program on the teachings of Yogananda. I was thinking about this because it's Gurudev's birthday program, but we're focusing on Yogananda's teachings. And an interesting thought came to me, because normally when we think of our gurus, we think of them all in the beautiful photos in the meditation hall, all sitting there, all realized masters, all beautiful saints sitting there looking at us. And sometimes we don't remember that they were students of each other. So keeping that in mind, I thought, I don't think Gurudev would be at all unhappy that we were focusing on Yogananda's teachings during Gurudev's birthday program, because Yogananda was Hariharananda's beloved guru. One of Hariharananda's really amazing gurus that he had through his life. And I have always seen how our Guruji, Pragyananda, is always moving our attention towards Gurudev. He's always saying, think of Gurudev. These are Gurudev's teachings. These are Gurudev's words. In a similar way, I think Gurudev would feel very happy to be saying, listen to Yogananda's words, learn from his teachings, see what it was like for me to know such an amazing Kriya Yoga master personally. So that's my approach, but not to dive right in without a moment about Gurudev, Baba Hariharananda. This morning, Yogacharya Richard Peterson started our day with a very lovely meditation at 11 o'clock, and I hope all of you joined in for that. But when Richard was beginning the meditation, he showed us a photo of Gurudev that was on the wall behind him. And he said that this photo was taken at Gurudev's final birthday celebration of his life, and that it had been 18 years since Baba left his body. When Richard said 18 years, instantly the tears were flowing out of my eyes. And the reason for that links directly to the topic of this 5-day birthday celebration retreat, which is cultivating divine love. And those tears just so quickly and spontaneously came because that was the love that Hariharananda manifested. That was the love that he embodied. That was the love that he brought to the whole world, and that was the love that he gave to each one of us personally. So all I can say is, Richard Baba, my friend, thank you for making me cry this morning. It made me feel very close to Gurudev. And one other thing about Gurudev, just to reiterate something that was mentioned, and we're going to try to keep mentioning it over the next few days, is that the Institute has been uploading new videos to YouTube for this birthday celebration. So you can go and access videos that you have not seen before of Gurudev, and to see him live, to hear him speak. It just allows you to draw closer to him because you can feel more and more what he was like as a person. And I can tell you, an extremely, extremely unique person. Also, the Kriya Yoga International YouTube channel is something that you can subscribe to. So I would highly recommend doing that. So moving on to the topic of today's talk, which is focused on Yogananda. Before I talk specifically about cultivating divine love, I think I'd like to take this opportunity, being that we are celebrating his 100th anniversary of coming to the United States, to tell you a little bit about Yogananda's travels in my part of the country. So I live here in Rochester, New York, where I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you from the meditation room in my house right now. And we are fortunate here that Yogananda did swing through this part of the country a couple of times, a few times actually. So in case you're not familiar with the Rochester and the Western New York region, just to give you a little bit of an idea, Rochester is in the far northwestern part of New York State. For a little frame of reference, New York City is in the far southeastern part of New York State. We're about 350 miles from New York City. Rochester is right on Lake Ontario, and about an hour and a half so drive directly west is the city of Buffalo and Niagara Falls. Through the research that I've been able to do, both on the internet and some books that I've read, there aren't a lot of details about Yogananda's visits in this part of the United States, but there's a little bit. So he did visit Rochester one time in 1925. What I read was that he did 2 public lectures on the same day in a theater called the Lyceum Theater, which was torn down many years ago. And they say that in total, between those 2 talks that he gave, there were approximately 5,000 people who heard him speak on that day here in Rochester. And then he spent a couple of weeks teaching here. And one of his students while he was here in Rochester was George Eastman. And most of you may know, but if you don't, George Eastman is the founder of the Eastman Kodak Company, known to most people just as Kodak, the company that brought photography to the consumer world and made it so that every person could own a camera. They were the worldwide leaders in film production and camera production for many decades. And so apparently George Eastman was a student of Yogananda's. So I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if there was a photo of the 2 of them together? Because obviously George Eastman owning a giant photo company, you would think you would take the time to take a picture of someone who was becoming quite well known at that time. So I contacted, here in Rochester, it's called the George Eastman House, also known as the George Eastman Museum. It is the mansion that George Eastman lived in, and attached to the very large museum, there's also a huge photographic archive. And you can search online through the archive contents, which I did. There was nothing that connected to Yogananda. So I got a hold of the archive directly, and I spoke to one of the curators. And he said that in the past, they had gotten requests previously about Yogananda, if there were any existing photographs from his time in Rochester, and unfortunately, there are none. So I'm guessing some were taken, but they probably just didn't survive over time through the years. So that's unfortunate, but I did read that Mr. Eastman gave Yoganandaji a brand new current model camera of the day. And it's interesting to kind of ponder where he might have used that and what photos that Paramahamsaji would have taken with that camera. So he was here in Rochester one time. I also see that he was in Buffalo, like I said, about an hour and a half directly west from Rochester. He was there either 2 or 3 times and did programs there. And one of the times when he was in Western New York in 1927, Yogananda visited Niagara Falls, which is a very as all of you know, a very popular tourist destination here. I've had the good fortune, and some of the Kriyavans in our local Rochester group, we've all had the good fortune of taking various swamis and yogacharyas, including Guruji, to Niagara Falls when they've been here in Rochester for programs. So I have this photo I'd like to show you. It's very interesting. It's an awesome photo. Let me see if I can center it up for you. This is Paramahamsa Yogananda at Niagara Falls in 1927. And if you want the photos available online, I just Googled Yogananda, Niagara Falls, and it popped right up. So if you want to look at the photo a little closer, it's easy to find. So that's about about what I know from Yogananda's time in this part of the country, but it's kind of neat to know that he was through here and then followed up by our wonderful Guruji Pragyananda coming here many times. I believe he's been in Rochester 8 or 9 times. So we're fortunate to have a good Kriya presence in this part of the world. So the topic. The way the topic is working is each of the teachers who were giving a talk this week were asked to select from Yogananda's books to base their talk off of the information and the wisdom that Yoganandaji gave to us in his books. The book that I've used to prepare for today, it's called Where There Is Light. It's a very nice book I've had for many, many years. And it is a book that contains a lot of little, the whole thing is little snippets, anywhere from a couple sentences long to maybe a fairly long paragraph. And they are snippets that are either taken from a lecture that Yogananda gave, or from writings in his various other books, and from whatever sources Self-Realization Fellowship had for finding these very nice Yogananda quotes. So what I've done is I've selected 6 quotes from the book that relate to our topic of cultivating divine love. Yesterday, Swami Atmavidyananda started us off by bringing us some material based on the book, The Divine Romance by Yoganandaji. So today I'll continue, and then tomorrow we will have information from one of Yoganandaji's other books. So I took these 6 quotes and I arranged them into what, why, and how. What the topic cultivating divine love is, why we should be concerned about it, why it matters, and also how do we then pursue it. So what, why, and how. There's going to be some overlap in the different quotes, but I sort of, put them in the little categories the best possible just to make them fun to talk about. So let me read number 1. I'm going to actually read the direct quotes from you because Yogananda's words are so incredibly beautiful. He has such a way with the English language that I want you to hear his voice and feel his words and what he's trying to express exactly verbatim as he said it. So this is the first what. God is love. His plan for creation can be rooted only in love. Does not that simple thought, rather than erudite reasonings, offer solace to the human heart? Every saint who has penetrated to the core of reality has testified that a divine universal plan exists and that it is beautiful and full of joy. So really the first 3 words tell us in a very big way the what. God is love. God is love. There isn't even a word, some component, that's not the right word, some flavor to, that's not the right word, some sense of, that's not the right word, something about God's pure essence is love. There's no way to reason it out. There's no way to put it into terms that we can grasp with our minds. Just know that this is truth, that Yogananda is not the only saint we've heard this from, and we should take it on faith and know that someday we will experience it and understand and know what the true full meaning of God is love is. But then it's so beautiful at this particular difficult time that we're all passing through with the COVID-19 pandemic. The rest of this quote, when he's asking that, doesn't this thought that God is love and his plan is rooted in love offer solace to the human heart? And that every saint has testified that there is a divine plan that is beautiful and full of joy. So again, to have faith that even though we're going through a really rough time right now as a planet, as a human race, that the bigger picture is beautiful, is rooted in love, and we should keep that foremost in our minds, especially when we're feeling stress and anxiety about what's going on. So let me go to the second what. The second what, Yoganandaji very nicely says, the love of God, the love of the Spirit is an all-consuming love. Once you have experienced it, it shall lead you on and on in the eternal realms. That love will never be taken away from your heart. It shall burn there, and in its fire you shall find the great magnetism of spirit that draws others unto you and attracts whatsoever you truly need or desire. I tell you truthfully that all my questions have been answered, not through man, but through God. He is. It is his spirit that talks to you through me. It is his love that I speak of. Thrill after thrill, like gentle zephyrs, his love comes over the soul. Day and night, week after week, year after year, it goes on increasing. You don't know where the end is. And that is what you are seeking, every one of you. You think you want human love and prosperity, but behind these, it is your Father who is calling you. If you realize he is greater than all his gifts, you will find him. So this what, this love, something that goes on without end, something that gives us thrill after, as Yoganandaji says, one that feels like, it was so nice, he said, gentle zephyrs, his love comes over the soul. Many of you out there are probably much smarter than I am and know what the word zephyr means. I didn't know what the word zephyr meant, so I had to go look it up. In case you don't know, a zephyr is a gentle breeze. So if I substitute that in, Yoganandaji says, like gentle breezes, his love comes over the soul. So it's so beautiful. So the what of what this love is, it certainly makes you want to partake. And something that really jumped out at me, the two sentences where he says, speaking of God, he is. The is italicized in each sentence. So Yogananda is stressing, God is. And, you know, to think about that for a moment, if you really search yourself inside, even those of us who have been at Kriya for a long time, sometimes you have moments, or maybe just a really little feeling deep down of a little doubt. Sometimes a little doubt still creeps in. It's very common. And Yogananda is imploring us to realize that God is real. God is real. And it's something that I encourage you when you're sitting in your meditation, for a moment, just say to yourself, this is real. This is real. And know that this stuff that we're doing in Kriya, the practices we're doing, the experiences we're having, the goal that we're seeking, it is all real. And it helps bring it much more clearly and strongly into your consciousness when you just let go of the doubt and feel, as Yogananda says, he is. So those two are the whats. So let me move on to the whys. So this one, they're all really beautiful. I was going to say this one's really beautiful, but what of them aren't beautiful? They're all beautiful. So this is the first why we should seek this, although you probably could have gotten a lot of why out of the first two that I read. Yoganandaji says, man has come on earth solely to learn to know God. He is here for no other reason. This is the true message of the Lord. To all those who seek and love him, he tells of that great life where there is no pain, no old age, no war, no death, only eternal assurance. In that life, nothing is destroyed. There is only ineffable happiness that will never grow stale, a happiness always new. So that is why it is worthwhile to seek God. All those who sincerely seek him will surely find him. Those who want to love the Lord and yearn to enter his kingdom and who sincerely wish in their hearts to know him will find him. You must have an ever-increasing desire for him day and night. He will acknowledge your love by fulfilling his promise to you throughout eternity, and you shall know joy and happiness unending. All is light, all is joy, all is peace, all is love. He is all. Wonderful. When I read the last sentence, and if you can hear Yogananda's wonderful voice saying this, all is light, all is joy, all is peace, all is love. He is all. I don't know about you, but I think when I read that, how it makes me feel, I feel like I should end the talk here and we should just all go into samadhi together. We should just close our eyes and go. It's really powerful from our Param Guru. One thing he says in here that really is something that Gurudev Hariharananda would say to us a lot. Yogananda says, you must have an ever-increasing desire for him day and night. And when people would ask Hariharananda, how do I find God? How do I know God? He would ask them the question, how deep is your desire? So our desire to know God, we should be increasing more and more as we travel down the spiritual path. So we've done what? We've done why. We've done, now to go on to how. I have 3 hows, because the hows are important. We're all practicing yogis. We are trying to not just know the theory and the philosophy of these topics, but we're trying to apply them to our daily lives, to ourselves, so that we can grow towards being the type of spiritual beings that our gurus are and are guiding us to be. So let's think about these 3 hows. And at the end of these 3 hows from Yogananda, if I could be so presumptuous to add one of my own, I have something I want to add from my own experience that I hope will be helpful. So the first how to cultivate divine love, again, the topic of our retreat. Yoganandaji says, God will not tell you that you should desire him above all else because he wants your love to be freely given without prompting. That is the whole secret in the game of this universe. He who created us yearns for our love. He asks us to give it spontaneously without his asking. Our love is the one thing God does not possess unless we choose to bestow it. So you see, even the Lord has something to attain, our love, and we shall never be happy until we give it. So the Lord has given us free will. In one of the recorded talks of Yogananda's that I'm sure many of us have listened to, Yogananda says, God has given us free will, the free will to accept him or reject him. Love is not love if the person or the being asking to be loved forces you to do it. So we must cultivate this desire within ourselves to want to reach out to our Creator, to the source of our being, to connect with that from which we have come. And the connection is very strongly made through the impulse of love. So we can make that decision to try to learn how to love God, to try to offer our love and our entire being into his presence in our meditation and feeling it in everything that we do. It's interesting that Yogananda says in this one sentence, that is the whole secret in the game of this universe. It's really something. To us, this whole thing is such serious business because this world we live in causes us a lot of pain and anxiety and difficulty. But from the vantage point of the realized souls, the liberated beings, they can see the larger scope of God's plan. And as Yogananda says, he can see it as kind of a game that God has going. Hard for us to comprehend with our limited vantage point. But in the end, and remembering the first quote that we read, that God has a divine universal plan, and it is beautiful and full of joy. So try to have faith in the difficult times that those two are the presence of God manifesting. In the last sentence in this quote, I'll read the last two. Yoganandaji says, so you see, even the Lord has something to attain, our love, and we shall never be happy until we give it. He doesn't say, and he shall never be happy until we give it. He says, and we will never be happy until we give it. So that gives us another clue that our happiness is in our own hands by making the choice and trying to grow in our love towards God. So the next how, this gives a little more, you could say, practical guidance. Yoganandaji says, speaking of God, he is the nearest of the near, the dearest of the dear. Love him as a miser loves money, as an ardent man loves his sweetheart, as a drowning person loves breath. When you yearn for God with intensity, he will come to you. Again, Gurudev saying, how deep is your desire? Is your desire to know God as strong as a drowning person's desire is for breath? I think we can all try to move more in that direction. I know I'm not quite there yet, although I'm trying. You know, sometimes I think, just to interject, I think as a parent, I think if I could spontaneously love God with the intensity that I love my children, I would be realized. And so it shows me how far there is to grow in love. And when Yoganandaji gives us a quote like that, to love God as a miser loves his money, as an ardent man loves his sweetheart, as a drowning person loves breath, it's a clue that the type, the nature of the intensity of love that we have the capacity to cultivate. And when he says that God is the nearest of the near, the dearest of the dear, yes, we should feel that closeness, and that closeness helps us to love him. And the last quote from Paramahamsa Yogananda, the last one I categorized in how, really applies to us very directly as meditators, as yogis. He says, the greatest love you can experience is in communion with God in meditation. The love between the soul and the spirit is the perfect love, the love you are all seeking. When you meditate, love grows. Millions of thrills pass through your heart. If you meditate deeply, a love will come over you such as no human tongue can describe. You will know his divine love, and you will be able to give that pure love to others. So again, what more have our Kriya Yoga gurus stressed to us than to meditate, meditate, meditate? It's through that inner quietness that we can go to that subtle perception. We can be more established in a state of pure consciousness where we feel that love just start to flow. If you've not had the opportunity to listen to recordings of Paramahamsa Yogananda, you know, many are available. They're copyrighted, so they're produced by Self-Realization Fellowship, but you can purchase them right from Amazon. And it's so powerful hearing his voice and the vibration that he gives you, and the love that just being in his presence through those recordings brings. The same experience happens when you listen to the recordings of our Gurudev, of our Guruji. If you don't have them already, get those recordings, put them on your phone, play them in the car. It's so wonderful, the technology we have these days. I have my iPhone loaded with recordings from Gurudev, from Guruji, from Yogananda, from other spiritual teachers who I love. And I also have music in there that I like, a lot of different kinds of music. So I'll give you a tip. This isn't the main tip I'm gonna give you on cultivating divine love. That'll come after this one. So I guess I'm giving you two of my own. Sorry about that. This just jumped into my head. So if you use the modern technology and have these recordings of the gurus, and you have some music in your library and your phone that you also love, that you find uplifting. When you're driving places, you can either play one of those recordings and listen to the teacher talk, learn from what he's saying, feel yourself in his presence. Or something that I like to do is I put my phone on, put the songs on shuffle. So I'll be driving someplace and there will be Gurudev Hariharananda. He'll be talking for a little while, for a few minutes. Then it'll come to the end of a segment and the phone will automatically jump to something else. Maybe it will be a song that I really love. So that's very uplifting. Then the song will end, and then here comes Yogananda's voice booming out of the stereo. And maybe the talk will go on for some time, and then the phone jumps to another song or another talk, maybe by Guruji this time. And you just feel a love welling up in you, listening to their message, to the vibration inside you from their voices, and also from the music that you enjoy and love. It's very uplifting. So Baba used to say, good company will make you good, bad company will make you bad. So the good company that we can be in is obviously the members of our Kriya family and other spiritual people, our gurus, our teachers, and our fellow Kriyavans when we're at programs. But when we're at home in our normal daily life, and we're going to work every day and we're busy, good company can come from recordings we listen to, the spiritual books that we read, and these can help us to continually be cultivating that divine love, to feeling more love for God. And then, of course, as Yogananda said in the last reading, meditate, meditate, and meditate, and you'll feel more and more closeness to God. Now, here's the one that I really wanted to bring to you from my own experience. And I have found it a way where it has made my love flow toward God much more strongly. Why don't we close our eyes and we'll do this together. Close your eyes, bring your awareness either to the top of the head, the crown chakra, the 1,000-petal lotus, or in the heart center, the heart chakra, either or maybe even in the whole body you will feel it. But bring your awareness inside for a moment. And do you feel that loving God is something that can often be a one-way street? Do you feel that sometimes you're always trying to push your love towards God? You're trying to find a way inwardly to push it towards Him, push it towards Him. Instead, I want you to think about receiving God's love for you. Have you ever stopped to think that you haven't consciously opened yourself and received God's love into you? Never, never, ever think that you are not worthy of it. Every human being is a child of God, and God loves each and every one of us unconditionally. Doesn't matter what you might have done in your life, who you think you are, problems that you have, none of it matters. God has created you. He has become you out of His own essence. So in the top of the head, or in the heart chakra, or in the whole body, however you're feeling it, just open yourself, and receive the flow of God's love into you. It is always there. It is always flowing. It is always unconditional. What more can a parent want than to know that their child feels loved? That's an even stronger emotion than wanting to feel love from your child. You want your child to know that they are loved, and that is what God feels for us. So open and open inwardly, receive God's love. And as it pours into you, as it fills you up, automatically your love will start to flow towards God. And then at some point, it all just merges together and just merges into only love. It's not flowing one way, it's not flowing the other way. Love just is. You are just in love. And you just abide in it and abide in it. So with the eyes remaining closed, I'm praying to God and gurus. Please help us to grow in love. Help us to feel thy love for us. And through this love, help us to open our inner awareness to our oneness with God in every moment. Lord, help us to feel thy formless presence in our deepest meditation. Help us to feel how you are activating through us in the world in our daily life. We give you thanks for the love and guidance of our great Kriya Yoga masters. We thank you for all of the holy teachers you have brought to this world. We thank you for everything that we have in our lives. And in this gratitude again, more love flows towards thee. So, Gurudev Baba Hariharanandaji, our love to you in this birthday program. Guruji Pragyananandaji, our love to you, and we all look forward to the next time we can bow and touch your divine feet. To our Param Guru, Yoganandaji, thank you for coming to this country 100 years ago and bringing the first massive wave of Kriya Yoga and the spiritual legacy of India to our shores. Thank you to all the Kriya masters for the wisdom and the love and the continuing protection that you all give us. And Lord, we thank you once again for bringing us all together in this way. Let all be happy, let all be healthy, let all be safe. Let all be realized. Om. Amen. Thank you all. There was a request for page numbers from these talks, and I'll ask if it's possible for us to put those page numbers up next to the recordings on the Kriya website that of these different talks. So thank you. Enjoy the rest of the program. I'm looking forward to it. I've been tuning in for everything, and it's just wonderful that we can be together even like this, but soon enough we'll be together in person again. Thank you all. God bless you all.